conference title, and for Clemson, a playoff spot on the line tonight here in O-Town. Looks to be the Clemson crowd. They're a little bit closer to Orlando than Blacksburg is, and they have a strong and faithful group of followers. Watson about to get his hands on the football. He was a huge force, MVP of last year's championship game victory, a nail-biter against North Carolina. Here we go. Slide does not permit returns very often, so Kirk, here comes that prolific Tigers offense.
Yeah, this is an offense we were all very anxious to see play this year. These are the keys to success tonight for Dabo Swinney, who you just heard was Sam Ponder. I think the running game, we've talked all week about it. Gallman and Deshaun Watson need to have a big night. Explosive tonight in the pass game. And the big thing, and Clemson fans know this, they got to take care of the ball. Sometimes they've been their own worst enemy, whether it's been interceptions or turnovers. And if you look back at some of the games that have been close or games that have cost them, it's been the turnovers.
Fewer rushing yards this year than last, but he could be a huge force again running the ball. It's been a weak area for this Tech defense, stopping running quarterbacks. Empty set on the first play. And Watson does take off and navigates up the middle. Chick-fil-A impact players tonight, Kirk.
You have to start with the importance of Deon Cain and Mike Williams because of their ability to get downfield. Deon Cain has been a great story and a great compliment to Williams when he gets his chances. And how about the Edmonds brothers, both Tremaine and Terrell tonight? Big-time talented players that continue to get better and more familiar with the scheme, playing a lot faster late in the year.
Watson pitches it out, and Artavis Scott has a first down. He crosses the 36-yard line, forced out by Brandon Face on the corner.
And before this game started, down on the field talking to Tony Elliott, the offensive coordinator for Clemson, and he was anxious to get this game started because he was very unclear on what Bud Foster might do. And so he said, you know, tonight early, we're going to give him a lot of formations, a lot of different looks, just to kind of feel out the scheme that Virginia Tech's playing, and then we'll have an idea of how we want to attack.
Watson play action on first down. Rolls out, delivers across the middle. That's the sliding Mike Williams, the stud receiver coming off a monster performance against South Carolina.
And the beauty of being able to feel a defense out is having Deshaun Watson, because he's so experienced. And what I've seen from Virginia Tech here, especially that last play, they're playing man, very aggressive. They're determined to stop the run, so you have some one-on-one opportunities.
Handoff. Gallman picks his way down near the 40. A very sharp start for this Clemson offense.
It reminds me a lot of the last 2 weeks. Since they lost to Pitt, they have not messed around against Wake Forest and also last week against South Carolina. 8 drives, 7 touchdowns in the first quarter in the last 2 weeks.
And against the Panthers, even in the loss, they had 630 yards offense. Right. It wasn't the offense that lost the game.
Yeah, but it was a different kind of way they attacked.
Watson to Scott. A couple of blocks on the edge and then a hard hit. Short gain coming up was Andrew Matuapuaka, the linebacker, the leader in this defense.
You know, you go back to that Pitt game, they had 50 yards rushing. That's not Clemson football. With, you know, Deshaun Watson can throw it all over the place. But Dabo Swinney wants balance. They want Wayne Gallman. They want Deshaun Watson to be able to run the ball because it opens up every other phase of their offense.
Gallman again picks his way left side and bursts for another first down, or at least right at the marker at the 31. Nigel Williams tackle stopped him. It will be a first down.
Guillermo does a nice job pulling around there. Jordan Leggett also getting around. This is again more of what we've seen from Clemson in the last 2 weeks. Aggressive mindset, but a balanced attack with the run and the quick throws.
Gallman within 38 yards of a 1,000-yard season. Comes into this game much fresher than he was a year ago, Kirk. He was more of a workhorse. He's been kind of pent up and ready to explode, and that's good news down the stretch to have number 9 fresh and ready.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks, 161 against Wake and 112 last week in the rivalry game against South Carolina. You're right, when it's first down, but when he's getting the ball these last 2 weeks, he's running angry. I mean, he's running with a purpose when he gets the ball in his hands.
He's a junior, but like Deshaun Watson, This will be their final season. Mike Williams also went through senior day. They'll all graduate a week from Thursday. For that, a couple other guys in that group as well. Sean looks back and flips it on the screen, and Jordan Leggett, the big tight end, has blockers, knifes inside the 20. And Clemson, with chunks of yardage, is now in the red zone.
Yeah, that offensive line just sat there and froze. I thought it was maybe a penalty. Look at the line. It's basically a screen pass. They're letting Virginia Tech come in, giving Leggett a chance to get the ball in his hands, and has a convoy. Interesting way of dialing up a screen pass.
You love the wrinkles late in the season. Now a little pop pass to Scott. Martavis Scott tight ropes inside the 5-yard line. That counts as passing yards for Watson. They do it a whole lot.
Yeah, again, they're running the ball up the middle. They're going to throw a screen with a freezed alignment. A lot of tempo. They're faking the ball up the middle. Here comes Martavis Scott around the corner. Boy, they just stretch you in every way imaginable. The crowd reacting to see if he got in there, but I think he is short.
Watson picks his way, and Sears standing up. Clemson, crisp, efficient, impressive in this opening drive.
You look on the outside here, I think he misreads this, but because of his athletic ability, he's able to cut underneath. You see that defensive end collapse down. Both the safety and the outside linebacker all of a sudden appeared, but Deshaun Watson, with the ball in his hands, knows exactly what to do, comes underneath Gallman for the touchdown.
Greg Hugel, for the 57th time this season, converts the point after. 9 plays, 75 yards, and 313. Watson 5 of 5 on the drive, and the rushing touchdown. Now, Hugel to kick it away. Henry Murphy at the goal line. Intercepts across the 27-yard line. It's a great quarterback year in the ACC. Lamar Jackson, obviously, some ridiculous numbers, but Gerard Evans, Kirk, the only other guy to pass for 3,000 and rush for 700 this season.
Think about that. While we've all marveled about Lamar Jackson's season, Gerard Evans quietly on a national level goes over 3,000 through the air in this first year of the offense and 700 on the ground. I think tonight he's going to have to play one of his better games, as you just saw. It's going to be a challenge for Virginia Tech to slow down Deshaun Watson. So running the ball will be big and making accurate throws as well.
Evans rolls out, pressured immediately, and dropped for a short loss there by Cleveland Farrell. Clemson's been a force, now 43 sacks this season.
Yeah, the energy from the last 2 weeks continues for Clemson. I mean, this team, you and I called their game in Charlotte last year against Carolina. It's early, but they are playing with a real purpose these last few weeks. You can see the start, the energy they have.
Now shovel pass inside, and Sam Rogers, the versatile, tough back, knocked down after a short game, and now it's going to be 3rd and very long. This offensive line for the Hokies up against it tonight.
Yeah, they really are. Eric Gallo in the middle is undersized for his center, and think about what he's dealing with. Dexter Lawrence, Carlos Watkins, some of the best interior defensive tackles, not only in the ACC, but the country.
5-receiver look.
This is where Brent Venables likes to dial up and get very, very creative.
Tigers showing pressure, a flag before the snap, and a flinch on that offensive line.
False start. 71 offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Jonathan McLaughlin is the leader of that offensive line. You're hard to imagine a worse start for the underdogs in this game tonight.
Yeah, they give up a quick touchdown. Clemson goes right down the field, and Evans comes out here, and Justin Fuente, the one thing he wanted to avoid was those 3rd down, potentially disastrous plays. In fact, he told us this week, on 3rd down, we get into these situations, it's avoiding that interception, avoiding that crucial error, so you're really going to simplify things on these 3rd down and longs.
Evans has not been interception prone. In fact, he's really only thrown 3. 2 others deflected off receivers' hands, and throughout his career, he's not been an interception quarterback.
Part of that's decision making, and also part of that is Justin Fuente's scheme and keeping him out of those kind of potential pitfalls.
Now the pitfall of 3rd and 17. Clemson rushes 4. Evans tries to go over the top, overthrows his receiver Isaiah Ford. Jadar Johnson was the closest to it.
Be real careful with Jadar Johnson in the middle of the field. Has as much range as any safety in the country, and a ball hawk really anticipates and reads the quarterback's eye as well.
Only guy in this defense with more than 1 interception. He's got 5, a first-team All-ACC safety. So Mitchell Ludwig, the Hokies punter, gets away a nice boot, really good one, and it drives Scott back inside the 20, and he's going to be tackled right there. Best they could hope for. Tech pinning back Clemson as Anthony Shigog made the tackle, but Watson and company back on offense, up a touchdown. And now take over at their 17 after a 60-yard punt. He's run up a bunch of bodies right at the line of scrimmage, and they knock Gallman down after a short gain.
Deshaun Watson and this Tigers offense just hitting on all cylinders in that first drive, taking what was there, throwing, spreading the defense out, running the football just right down the field. Let's see how the Hokies attack this time defensively. You see some man-to-man across the board.
A really aggressive approach, and so Watson spots it, throws it downfield, and an interference call. That was Adonis Alexander is going to have to step up tonight, Kirk, because Greg Stroman has a tender ankle. He interfered with Scott.
It's like they interfered with each other. That was a lot of grabbing.
Alexander, a big, long corner, 6'3", sophomore from Charlotte.
Pass interference, defense number 36. Penalty is an automatic first down.
He's played a lot of corner, but he's got to step up and play more snaps tonight with Stroman and Gempy.
Yeah, and he has over the last 3 weeks. What they love about him is just his raw athletic ability at 6'3", 193 pounds. Big, rangy corner. Could probably play safety, but they put him out there on an island. And against this group of wide receivers, that is a tough ask to be out there on an island.
Now they back off a little bit on the coverage here in this first down play. Empty backfield for Watson. Surveys, looks left. Again, it's Scott. A huge cushion. So no matter what they do, they can't win right now. It's either interference or they take the underneath stuff.
Well, I think you've got to give him the cushion, and you know you're going to mix it up. Bud Foster, he's a very confident defensive coordinator. He'll mix up the looks. I think you're better off trying to give him a bit of a cushion and not give up the big play. Allow them to maybe move the ball down methodically and squeeze them in the red zone and force field goals. Clemson's going to move the ball on you. They have against everybody they've played. Key is either getting turnovers or making them kick field goals in the red zone.
There's a whistle and a false start. One key would be get the Tigers to 3rd down. They haven't yet done that tonight. Virginia Tech, one of the best teams in the country on 3rd down.
Offense, number 75, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
All-ACC left tackle Mitch Hyatt with the penalty.
Well, Virginia Tech caused that. They're bringing some late pressure, slanting that defensive line, and I think Hyatt got caught up, realizing that was coming and moved a little bit early.
Gallman in the slot to the right. And Watson fires back to Williams, who is wrestled down short of the first down. Alexander with a nice tackle.
Yeah, it is. And there's, again, he gave him a little bit of a cushion, but he's able to react to the ball, create this 3rd down. That's a heck of a matchup physically. Mike Williams, 6'3", 225 against Adonis Alexander at 6'3", 193.
There's some corners playing on Sunday who will see number 7 next year, who are dreading that day. He's just a beast.
He sure is.
Well, Clemson very comfortable needing just 3 on 3rd down. They have been all year. All kinds of options for Elliott to call on. And Watson, with a bunch of time, fires over the head of Jordan Leggett. Here comes a flag again. Well, Terrell Edmonds will get flagged this time. I think it was over Leggett's head, and uncatchable is what the Hokies are lobbying for.
Pass interference, defense number 22. Penalty's an automatic first down, spot and foul.
Leggett, a 6'5" tight end. That was a very high throw.
Yeah, Chris, I'm with Justin Fuente and the Virginia Tech coaches. There's about 5 of them out on the field saying that the ball is not catchable. And a lot of times you'll say, well, the defender made it where it's not catchable, but in this case that ball was well over his head, and that was a 3rd down play.
Yep. Second pass interference on the series moves it to the Hokies 45. Watson again, a design run. Stiff arm, escapes. So elusive, so hard to get a direct hit on.
And it's also one of their better players, Tremaine Edmonds, as an outside linebacker that he gave a stiff arm to there. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's 235 pounds right there, stiff arm, and if he makes that tackle, you know, you're in a much better position instead of second and short. Ball almost came out there, but now all of a sudden they're at second and short. Would have been 2nd and 10.
2nd and 2. Gallman hit behind the line. Hokies penetrate quickly. That was Mook Reynolds, the hybrid linebacker. It'll be 3rd and 5.
Yeah, and Bud Foster anticipating this, does a good job. Reynolds just comes up the field in a hurry. There they are attacking the line of scrimmage, anticipating the potential of the run with either Deshaun Watson or Wayne Gallman. You roll the dice from time to time, and it's kind of a feast or famine situation.
Negative play this Hokies defense has been able to create. See if they can get off the field. Showing a lot of pressure on 3rd down. Hit Watson as he throws, but he delivers a strike far side to Scott, and they move the sticks again.
Great focus and concentration by Deshaun Watson. He knew that the safety was coming on the blitz. Comes right to the right. He's coming untouched. Actually, a defensive lineman got through there as well. They didn't have enough people to block with the blitz. He knew it was coming, kept his eyes downfield, and made an accurate throw.
8 for 8 for Deshaun to start this game. Gallman spins and is knocked down at the 25.
One thing about bringing a lot of people up into the line of scrimmage, if a talented back like Gallman is able to break through that initial surge, there's nobody left. Easy to pick up 8 or 9 yards.
Tigers playing with tempo, handed to Gallman again. Another 1st down near the 20, and Gallman will be over 1,000 yards for the season very quickly the way this is going.
Just has a different look to him. There's a spring in his step. He's been, as you said, he's been bottled up for most of the year, and I think frustrated by it. It's been a very different set of circumstances these last 2 weeks now leading into this game, the 3rd game in a row.
Watson still got it. Flips it over the middle, like it wide open, and waltzes in. Tigers are clicking.
So we talked about this in the open. When you run the ball and you run the ball and you run the ball, watch what happens to the defense. And here's the receiver who's going to slide in behind him. You run the ball, now you're going to put the ball in there. Look at the defense reacting, and it just makes it very, very easy. Nobody picks him up. Great read, great feel by Watson and the rhythm of this Clemson Tiger offense.
Perhaps nobody in college football prepares longer and better, more diligently than Watson. He relished the challenge of facing the great Bud Foster's defense for the first time in his career. It's off to a pretty darn good start. Watson 9 for 9, has run for 1, and now thrown for 1. Hokies in deep trouble. Jordan Leggett, his 6th touchdown reception of the season, 17th of his career. Hokies in minus territory, -2 yards. Tigers have 134. You feel some urgency here, don't you, Kirk? It's very early.
It is. I still think patience is key. As bad as this game feels, you got to kind of stick to your game plan and what you thought would be able to be effective offensively.
In a hurry, they just get it off, and they feed Sam Rogers, senior from Mechanicsville, Virginia, kind of a hybrid H-back, running back, special teams guy. Clelin Ferrell met him.
And they pushed him back 10 yards after the whistles blew. They are really fired up on the defensive side of the ball, and they're not respecting or fearing Gerard Evans in his passing game at all up to this point. Flying downhill at the running game.
Evans from the pocket takes a look downfield and then is swallowed up at the line of scrimmage. It'll be technically a sack. He lost a yard. Dexter Lawrence, the freaky freshman, made the play.
Yeah, you look downfield at what Evans is seeing, and he is not comfortable because look at his receivers downfield. And it's nobody open. It's a coverage sack, and that pocket, by the way, is collapsing in a hurry. And the big fella, the true freshman, Chris, as you said, Lawrence at 340 pounds, pretty good quickness at 340.
Better defensive freshman in the country than this guy?
No.
I mean, he's just
no. I don't even consider him a freshman.
He didn't look like it. No. 3rd and 10. bring pressure. Rogers in the flat, makes the catch, and a flag is thrown as Dorian O'Daniel made the tackle. This could only be, I would think, targeting the way it was thrown.
We'll have to see what the review might show if in fact that ends up being the call. It's the only thing I can imagine it being is a defenseless player.
Well, he got him right on the helmet.
Sure did.
There was zero hesitation from the official.
On the field, it's personal foul, targeting number 6 on the defense. That play is under review.
Dave Katai, our rules expert. Dave, the replay official Ted Jackson will look at this. Do you see anything that would overturn this call of targeting?
Not really. You can see the helmet. And remember, there's a new definition of the crown of the helmet. Anything above the face mask looks pretty clear to me. I think this call is going to be confirmed or at least stand. I see nothing to change it.
Dave, defenseless?
I would say that he's still defenseless because he hasn't turned to be a runner. But remember, the crown of the helmet doesn't mean anything.
But the reason I bring up defenseless, the crown wouldn't even come into play, right?
Exactly. If he's defenseless, hand, arm, shoulder, anything.
O'Daniel has had a terrific year. Brent Venables is singing the praises of this junior out of Maryland. Kind of a freakish athlete. Was an offensive player in high school, shifted over to linebacker, really has come on strong down the stretch, but figures to be excluded from the rest of this game.
After review, the ruling of targeting on number 6 in the defense is confirmed. Number 6 is ejected from the ball game.
And Dave, for the
penalty is 15 yards, first down.
For the Clemson fans at home, because this is the first half and thinking about the potential of a playoff game, he is kicked out of the rest of this game, but because it's the first half, he'll be okay to play in the beginning of their next game?
Exactly, because this counts as an entire game, the first and second half.
So that moves the sticks in the initial first down for the Hokies at the 38-yard line. Rogers appeared to be okay. Trayvon McMillan is the back. They fake it to him, and Evans takes a look downfield, loops it over the head of Isaiah Ford. He's a terrific receiver, the complete polished guy, but no chance to make a play there.
Simple read. You're matched up one-on-one. Your best receiver against a top corner. You got to try to take these chances with Evans. But even though it's a route where you're going to get the ball out fairly quickly, you can still see Farrell, the defensive end, still gets to him and brings pressure.
Lee, a first-team All-ACC corner. Would be a good matchup against number 1 tonight.
Yeah.
Rogers, who was targeted in that hit, is back in the game. Big fella just banging straight ahead. I think he'd have to get hit by 4 or 5 targetings to get knocked out of the game.
Yeah, he's a tough guy. You know what I think Justin Fuente inherited is a team that doesn't have an elite back. All those years with Frank Beamer and the amazing running backs that they've had, you know, they just don't have that in the backfield to complement Gerard Evans. So the offense, for the most part, is Evans as a threat running, and then either Ford on the outside, Phillips, or Bucky Hodges trying to make a play and win one-on-one.
McMillan in the back does have some speed. He's also got some fumble issues, which has limited his playing time. Evans is pressured immediately and dropped one more time. Jalen Williams, who fills in for O'Daniel, just picks up where he left off.
Well, they bring the middle linebacker. The offensive line is thoroughly confused. Linebacker blitz comes, but watch the right tackle come down, and it just frees up the outside defensive end. Actually, take that back. Actually, a late movement there by Christian Wilkins. He was just out of the frame. They brought him down late. Right tackle didn't see him, didn't pick him up.
Ludwig, it's a fake punt, and he pops over the middle, complete. And Terrell Edmonds has a first down. We thought there might be some gadget plays in there for the Hokies. They desperately needed a spark.
A gadget? That's a jump shot. Ludwig with, this isn't a throw. Watch this form. Watch the technique.
Backspin. What a catch.
That was a great effort to be able to come up with it.
Running on the field. It's an ineligible receiver. Number 56 on the offense. Downfield. The pass was completed beyond the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. 4th down.
So by running forward and flipping it that way, it was beyond the line of scrimmage and brings the ineligible receiver downfield into play.
Yeah, he's flying downfield right away. In fact, there are a few guys just taking off there. And oh boy, it's right just past the line of scrimmage. That play is designed to be caught because it was high. The play is designed to be caught behind the line of scrimmage, and then you don't have a penalty.
But because he floated that
little
little ball,
high, bobbled it, carried him across the line of scrimmage. That's why they have the penalty.
You know, they were hoping to get a chance to spring that. It's a fun play for practice.
That play is under review.
Now they're going to see perhaps whether or not Edmonds did catch the ball beyond the line of scrimmage. It was a 21-yard catch and run negated. Dave?
That part is reviewable. What is reviewable is not whether or not he's beyond the line of scrimmage. It's whether the ball crosses. That part is reviewable. So you see the black line, which is a line of scrimmage. He's either behind or right at it. Right at that angle, I don't see enough to change this call.
When he first tips the ball, he clearly is beyond it when he catches it.
The key is when he first touches
the ball.
When he first touches it. And remember, it's not the lineman downfield that's reviewable. It's whether the pass crossed the line that's reviewable.
Sure. Well, if it was behind the line, that penalty wouldn't come into play.
It would be absolutely legal, correct.
Very athletic play by Edmonds. It's not an offensive player, by the way, to make that little tip catch.
No, but it looked like, Dave, it looked like he may have touched that ball.
After review, the ball was first touched behind the line. Therefore, there's no foul. The ball will be placed at the 42-yard line. 1st down.
You know, it's difficult to see exactly. It was very close, as you say, Dave, but this play's going to stand.
See, Dave, that's why you're up here to be able to coach us up every week. I thought it would be where he secured the ball. You're saying it's where he first touches the ball, and that's why they're able to avoid
that. Check that one off the list in your life.
Exactly.
You notice here they freeze frame it, and that freeze frame clearly shows he's behind. Without that freeze frame, you can't tell.
How do you know all these rules? Honestly.
Hey, this is job.
How do you know that rule? How many times do you see that rule in your life?
I don't know.
Rodgers, he's looking to throw it. Yes. Lofts it downfield. Hodges interfered with. Tankersley flagged as Rodgers, who can do everything, tried to throw the halfback pass.
I was going to say, how about the effort by Sam Rodgers to get the ball off? I mean, he is
Pass
running.
interference, defense, number 25, 15-yard penalty.
He's running for his life, trying to avoid Christian Wilkins, and has to somehow turn and make the throw and get buried into the turf by Wilkins. Clearly interference by Tankersley.
Yeah, he grabbed him right there. He probably saved a touchdown. Hodges, if he'd broken free of the cornerback's grasp, could have caught it. Would have been down inside the 5. As it is, it moves the ball just to the 27-yard line.
Look at it. I mean, he's full speed, somehow gets his shoulder turned just enough. This is an H-back trying to make that throw.
You're seeing
a good job.
You're seeing a team that's doing whatever it can think up on the fly to try to get back in this game. Fake punt, halfback pass. Hokies are threatening, though, for the first time. And the Hokies, who had generated nothing before that, find themselves at the Tigers' 27. Clemson spending a timeout on defense a moment ago. Evans pump fake, has room up the middle. And a physical runner, not a sudden jitterbug kind of guy, but a guy who goes 238.
Yeah, he is physical. Reminds me almost of a tight end when he takes off to run with the football.
On the end around, they handed to Cam Phillips. He's knocked down after a short gain. Dabo was making the comparison to Taj Boyd, of course, the former Clemson quarterback.
I mean, Taj Boyd was a great player at Clemson, a great quarterback, and was physical. But I think this guy's even bigger than what we saw from Taj Boyd in his running style.
Tremendous arm talent, who hasn't had a real opportunity to flash that yet, but he can pitch it around. Goes a dart over the middle. Isaiah Ford tracks it down and scoots inside the 5. First and goal, Tech.
Well, he does a good job at not giving up on this and pulling away from Ryan Carter. Look at Boulware coming out, but see that little passing lane. It's because he was able to pull away from Ryan Carter. Carter had him initially at the line of scrimmage. But that play with the linebacker Boulware pulling out of there was a tough read, but a good job by Evans.
Evans keeps it, makes his way, and still fights down near the goal line. No signal. Nope, he stopped short. Ford, by the way, the guy who played in 2 state championship games in this stadium. He comes from Jacksonville, so he's got good memories here.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. By the way, Van Smith at 195 pounds coming up in run support. We've got a pretty good feel and indication of how physical a runner he is. That's a pretty good effort by Evans.
See when he goes down, because he did reach the ball for the goal line down.
No.
Very close. Doesn't matter. Barrel in for the touchdown. And in the final minute of the first quarter, the Hokies get on the board. A funky drive capped by McMillan's touchdown run.
Technically a 12-play, 77-yard drive, but you go back to that fake punt that Justin Fuente called, and after it was reviewed, it ended up staying. They had the pass interference to continue to move them deeper into Clemson territory. And that's exactly what Virginia Tech needed. The way this first quarter was going, did not have a good feel, but they come up with an answer.
Slide boots it through. Another factor, Kirk, is they took a bunch of time off the clock and they gave their defense a chance to rest and regroup and figure out what to do against Watson and company.
That's a great point. But Foster is over there trying to come up with an idea of what to do. But one of the first times we've seen the offensive line get a good push.
Look at that. You had fumble issues. You're down near the goal line. 2 arms on the football.
Yeah.
Let's get down to Sam on the field.
Exactly what you guys are talking about right now is what I just noticed on this defensive bench for Virginia Tech. It was almost like they pressed the restart button. The beginning of that drive, a lot of frustration, and Bud Foster having to tell them, guys, we're killing ourselves. It's not anything Clemson's doing. All these penalties are killing us. And you can see the momentum shift as they started to see their offense move the ball down the field. Also, I know this is no surprise, Bud Foster still preaching pressure and aggression down here. So I have a feeling we're going to see more of that here.
And you go back to just a few weeks ago after they lost to Georgia Tech. The very next week, they're on the road in South Bend, down 17-0. They fought back to win that game. So they believe in themselves, even though they're down.
Foster in his 30th season at Virginia Tech. Began as a linebackers coach. Process that. To Cassidy Hubbard for an update. So Lions needed a spark and got it down a couple touchdowns, just as the Hokies did. Can Foster's defense find a way to slow down this offense? Another completion. They pitch it. Tight coverage there. Ray McLeod, his first catch of the evening. I would take issue. Coaches love to spin to their guys, Kirk, but it's a lot of what Clemson's doing. You can't put it on mistakes in the defense.
And again, it's a mix of a lot of different things. It's the way they stretch you out. It's the spacing of the receivers and the routes, and you have a trigger man in Deshaun Watson making very good decisions right now. He's 10 for 10 throwing the football.
Final 30 seconds of the opening quarter. And look out. Fuller's loose, and C.J. Fuller barrels down inside the 40. Tackled by Chuck Clark. When they rest Gallman, they can unleash this guy.
Linebackers here, safeties here. They're missing a gap. Nobody is there. That's something that really Bud Foster and this defense had worked so hard from where they were a year ago. That time, busted gap, and Fuller finds it.
See if Deshaun will beat the clock here. And one final plug for the end of the quarter. Takes a shot downfield. Leggett's got it. And Leggett's down to the 15-yard line. Now they say incomplete. Didn't quite hold it long enough. And Leggett down on the field. Greg Stroman, the corner who's fighting through some ankle pain, was there in coverage. And this is a concern.
Oh, man, you hate to see this. If he landed on the football or his right shoulder when he came down.
Leggett is the guy that had the game-winning touchdown reception against Louisville and against Florida State. He's been a clutch go-to guy late in games. We'll step aside. End of the first quarter in Orlando. Clemson leading 14-7 and driving as they continue to look at Leggett. Clemson leading 14-7. Leggett walked off okay. Look, he just landed on the football. Terrific play by Greg Stroman to knock it away just before Leggett hit the ground. So we begin quarter 2 with a 2nd and 10 play. C.J. Fuller again. Hammered immediately. Motua Pawaka and a bunch of maroon jerseys on the stop. Tremaine Edwards helped out.
Yeah, much better job there by the linebackers filling those gaps. Motua Pawaka along with Edmonds. Both guys have had great years at that linebacker spot for this Hokies defense. It's a challenge when you go up against Deshaun Watson and the tempo, the motions, the jet sweeps, the run, the pass. It's a lot. Puts a lot on the safeties and the linebackers.
Jordan Leggett back in the game in the slot to the right now on 3rd and 10. Watson pressured immediately, hit and overshoots Leggett. Here comes another flag in coverage. It will be against the Hokies, and Deshaun very slow to get up. They brought serious heat on him that time, Kirk.
They sure did. They again, that's what Bud Foster's doing right now on 3rd down. He's just bringing one more than Clemson has to be able to protect.
Pass interference, defense number 19. 15-yard penalty, 1st down.
Chuck Clark, who is matched up with Leggett, who's back in the lineup. And again, that's another 3rd down pass interference for Virginia Tech.
Yep.
It's the 2nd one we've seen.
Overall, it's their 3rd PI call. Moves the ball to the 24.
You know, and Clemson didn't really have much of a chance to make this work. I mean, he just basically threw that football away, but he grabbed a hold of that jersey.
Deshaun showing his toughness one more time. He got T-boned there by the rush. Now Fuller takes off. He's been featured on this drive, spelling Gallman, and he powers down to about the 17.
That can take a toll on you defensively when you finally get Deshaun Watson to 3rd down and you think you come up with a stop, only to look back and see there's a flag down, and it gives them a 1st down. It can be very deflating. And you really got to show some moxie, some mental toughness here to be able to bow up in the red zone and try to come back with a stop.
They've been a strong red zone defense, but Clemson is not your typical red zone offense. Coaches for the Hokies out on the field trying to make defensive adjustments here. Watson fires and misfires. It was Williams.
Really like Mook Reynolds, the sophomore, who they'll put out there in coverage as an outside linebacker. He's a bit undersized. He's physical enough to be able to fit in the run, but also very athletic. Number 6 will stay out there in coverage. You see him walked out, comes all the way out here, matches up with Hunter Renfrow.
2nd best defense in the FBS in 3rd and short situations like this. Watson weaves his way for a 1st down.
Well, you've got a lot of action going this way, but you've got a couple linemen going this way. That's what the defense is trying to figure out. Usually those guards and those linemen will lead you to where the football is going, but they try to affect the eyes with the motion. And that time Deshaun Watson just enough for the 1st down.
They have had 6 red zone turnovers, tied with Louisville for the most in the FBS. It's been the one weakness that drives Dabo Swinney crazy, because if they don't turn it over, they really haven't been stopped at all.
No, you go back to the Louisville game where they had 5 turnovers, and you think about the NC State game, they had the ball 3 times inside the 5, came away with 0 points. It's been red zone at times, lack of execution, and turnovers have been the 2 areas that have probably impacted them the most and created the most inconsistency.
That's a startling difference. When they don't turn it over more than once, they win by an average of 41
They don't just
and a half. They don't just win. They win by 6 touchdowns. Right. And that's Gallman back in the game and wrestled down immediately. So it'll be 3rd down. An interesting call here now, and a chance for the Hokies to at least force a field goal attempt.
Really great defense there on 2nd down for Bud Foster's bunch. Tried to go back into the boundary, and that's what you expect from Virginia Tech. Getting off of blocks, 4 or 5 different defenders pursuing and running to the football. Nowhere to go with the football that time for Wayne Gallman.
They need 7. Deshaun for the end zone. Touchdown! Leggett back in the ball game, back in the end zone for a second time. 3 possessions, 3 touchdowns for the Tigers.
They flex him all the way out to the left, way out here, and you'll see him coming across. He's matched up against a corner. I mean, that shows you the athletic ability of Jordan Leggett at 6'5", 260. Way out to the outside. They put one of their top cover guys on him, gets the separation, and makes it very easy for Deshaun Watson there on 3rd down. Perfect throw right in stride.
Kind of wonder how they don't score every time. You got Leggett down there. You got Williams, who's a monster target in the red zone. You got a quarterback who can run.
You got a great running back.
Don't stop themselves.
13 hadn't had a touch yet. We got to get Hunter Renfrow in the mix.
Murphy backpedals into the end zone. Will bring it out. Henry Murphy across the 20. It was kind of a groan from both of us.
Yeah, I'm really frustrated.
We're not going to have any time. Time's up, I guess.
I guess that's it.
Felipe, you're just going to give us no chance here?
Well, I answered that factory question for you right now. I'm surprised you didn't get this one. We asked you who the last Power 5 head coach was to win a conference title in his first year. Gus Malzahn at Auburn, 2013. When he took the Tigers to the national championship game, that great game against Florida State.
Wow. First year. I thought that was his 2nd year.
Down to the 2 teams that were involved in. You got to go a little farther afield. Caught us off balance there, Felipe. Should have gotten that, though. You're right. Hokies again down 2 touchdowns. Evans fires low and incomplete for Ford on the slant. Well defended. Trying to find ways, Kirk, to create some pass yards.
Well, Isaiah Ford's the guy you want to try to go to. He and Cam Phillips and Bucky Hodges definitely have the ability to make plays.
They're kind of count on Ford and Hodges to win those one-on-one battles on the edge. If they can't, big trouble. Tankersley matched up on Hodges, bottom of the screen. They look that direction. They throw underneath. That's a slot receiver. And Phillips is dropped by Jalen Williams. It'll be 3rd and medium here.
You go empty like that, there's 2 things that you're going to call. Either the ball is coming out immediately, which you saw, or a quarterback draw. You don't have time to sit back. And Brent Venables, when he saw empty, he brought pressure. It was a good job by Evans seeing that, getting the ball out quickly.
See if they pressure him again. McMillan is the back to Evans' left. Tigers rush 4. Evans gets it out. Again, it's Phillips on the edge, and he scoots for a 1st down across the 35.
Really like the looks of Cam Phillips. Does a great job with the ball in his hands after the catch. Saw him with a big score against Notre Dame a few weeks ago. Got him back into the game. Also in the jet sweep. It's 23 carries this year.
They don't have a lot of depth, Kirk, but when you go 1, 2, 3 in their receiving core with Hodges, Ford, and Phillips, not many teams can match that. Would you agree?
No, you're right, especially in the ACC. They all bring something a little bit different, too, to their position.
As we're seeing Clemson with their extraordinary group of playmakers. Immediate pressure and a loss. Evans is just trapped by Ben Boulware, the all-ACC backer who came twisted in there.
They bought both the linebackers, and they timed it up perfectly. I mean, right when the ball is snapped. Watch Ben Boulware time this up full speed. It allows him to be able to get through, but because of that intensity, Colin Farrell also tonight is having a good game. He also got in there and affected it.
2nd and 14. Phillips trying to make a play and couldn't escape, and the posse came, and Jadar Johnson stopped him.
That's a good job of leveraging the football there by Jalen Williams, forcing that back to the inside. It's a heck of a play, and as you said, you saw a bunch of white jerseys running to the ball, which is exactly what you want to see as a defensive coordinator. But if he lets him get it to the outside, he picks up a lot of yards.
That's a great point. Williams didn't make the tackle, but he held things up.
Yep, forced it back. He got to the upfield shoulder, did a good job of fighting off that block, but there's nowhere really for him to go, for Phillips to go, but to cut underneath.
Now they need 14 on this 3rd down. Again, pressure against empty backfield, gets out quickly. Phillips hammered hard right there by Boulware, well short of the marker as Mr. Boulware introduces himself to the slot receiver.
Yeah, Justin Fuentes says it's 3rd down and long. We're not going to take any chances. We're going to just get the football out, see what we can do, and there's the big hit. I love Ben Boulware's attitude. He's not afraid to tell you he's one of the top linebackers in the country.
Top tackler on the team, that's for sure. Scott says get away from it. It's a short punt which spins back and will be down at about the 35. Can the Hokies find a way to get a stop? They'd better. Tigers back to work up by 14.
Always around Virginia Tech games cheering on his Hokies.
Does he have eligibility left? Can you get Mr. Smith out there to help make the play for this Hokies front?
Every time I see him, I'm reminded of what a special athlete he was for a defensive lineman. Just stays in great shape. Like you said, a tremendous player for so many years.
He knows that this defense is up against it. Bud Foster said in those 30 years coaching defense, this might be the best offense he's ever seen. That would include some of the great Florida State and Miami offenses. Yeah. Watson be sacked for the first time.
Well, now they're finally starting to make some plays up front. Tim Settle, big man here, makes a nice play. You wonder how you can be effective. How do you slow down Clemson? You got to beat them up front. Chris and I were just talking about that at a break. You've got to beat that offensive line. And that time, it's exactly what Tim Settle did, going around Tyrone Crowder.
Yeah, that's an all-ACC guard that he beat for his first sack of the season. 3rd and 16. Watson immediately pressured, hit again, lofts it downfield. It's a battle for the ball. McLeod interfered with. It's a 4th PI call against the Hokies secondary. That time Brandon Faison, and again on 3rd down.
Yeah, and again Clemson tries that. The line just doesn't move. They just sat up there, and Deshaun Watson put it up in the air.
Defense number 31, 15-yard penalty, 1st down.
Foster says, oh my goodness, another chance to get off the field.
The only thing I can think of is you had some movement from Virginia Tech, and maybe they're trying to say, they're trying to draw them off sides, but that's not normal to see a play where you're throwing the ball downfield. I think they thought they had him, but there's the 3rd time, as you said, face on that time with the interference, just again grabbing that jersey.
You think Deshaun says, let's not call that little offensive.
Yeah,
maybe block these guys, but just a little, hold them up a little bit, right? I mean, but they held their position for a long time.
Just so you know, that particular play is not a called play. That's where the center, if he feels like he has the nose guard or one of the defensive linemen jumping off sides into the neutral zone, he's taught to snap the ball, and the rest of the linemen are taught to just freeze so they don't get pulled off sides potentially.
But maybe after a few seconds, can you unfreeze?
Yeah, guys, they're moving. Help.
2nd and 9. I mean, they're getting him hit a little bit too. Watson flushed, shoved as he throws that one. It's another completion there. Is Trevion Thompson, just his 11th catch this season. It will be a 3rd down again.
Much better coverage again. Virginia Tech feels like they're starting to settle in a little bit more defensively, even though, again, it's a great challenge for them tonight. Here comes another 3rd down. Bud Foster has mixed up his looks. They've had their chances to get off the field. The 3 pass interference have hurt them. Let's see what they do this time to affect that rhythm and timing with Watson as receivers.
Watson making those adjustments as the play clock goes down to 3. And a timeout taken over there by the Tigers sideline, which noticed that it was about to run out.
Timeout. Clemson, 2nd charge timeout.
Virginia Tech just desperate to find a way to get off the field, get the ball back to their offense. Chance to chip away at a 14-point lead. We'll step aside.
Chris, I'm sorry, 3rd down and 6, and you have Leggett and Mike Williams both into the boundary here.
Gallman to the right of Watson. He's back off. Don't bring all-out pressure. Watson delivers incomplete. Good coverage over there by Alexander on Kane, and this is the first punt, the first stop for Tech's defense.
Yeah, and without a pass interference, it seems like they're identifying and going after Adonis Alexander, and this time with Deon Kane, who's had a great year. Clemson, kind of a receiver you forget about with so many different weapons.
Makes sense. So Alexander's a less experienced guy in that role.
Yeah, again, the last 3 weeks he's picked up some valuable reps, but still you want to probably go after him and avoid Brandon Faison.
C.J. Carroll, the quick, diminutive punt returner, waiting inside his 10. Andy Teasdall, who had a adventurous ACC championship game a year ago with that ill-fated fake. Hoops it very high and very short. And Murphy comes up and makes the fair catch at the 30-yard line. Just 23 yards on the punt. Off their first stop of the night. The offense would love to build momentum here. They do get the ball to begin the second half. Play action. Hodges trying to go downtown on first down. Has Ford wide open. Collects it. Can he elude 3 Tigers? Cuts it back. Isaiah Ford makes the first big downfield pass play of the night for Tech.
And Chris, the only thing I can think of is that Clemson underestimated the arm strength, and he just got lost. Just a top receiver. Tankersley kind of lets him go. The ball comes in front of Johnson. He threw that from the left hash about 45 yards downfield, and I don't think Clemson thought he could throw the football that far. They just let Ford get behind coverage.
They should have scouted him because he's got a huge arm.
Yeah.
Well, in the red zone now. Can the Hokies get 7 out of this? 53 yards on that pass play. Phillips cuts it back. Still alive. And knocked down inside the 10. That's the kind of play, Kirk, that they gave up so often last year. They were so prone to busts and giving up big plays, even though they got to the championship game. They've really cleaned it up this year.
They really have. That was just a mental error. But think about Virginia Tech. They're just kind of bobbing and weaving here at 21-7. They had 61 yards for the whole game until that 53-yard gain. All of a sudden, they've got a little bit of confidence.
Their best play had been a flip on a fake punt until that pitch and catch. This is a keeper, and Evans muscles forward again, as he has done for the 49th time this year. He runs it for a first down.
Yeah, quarterback run, always a threat for Virginia Tech. And, you know, he gets in there, but you also have linemen pushing from behind. So it's double barrel coming at the Clemson defense. Bucky Hodges also. We haven't seen him get a chance tonight, but at 6'7", they've got him in the slot. He's also a guy that they like to try to get the football to.
You wouldn't bet against another quarterback run, though, here on 1st and goal. Let's see. Now he's going to throw it. Lofts it to Hodges. Jump ball. Not even the 6'7" guy can come up with that. Williams, a linebacker in coverage.
It's a good matchup for them, but a tough route. Really, really tough for Hodges to go up and make a play on Jalen Williams, who's doing everything. Got pretty physical there, but again, Jalen Williams 5'10". But that was a tough route and a tough throw for Gerard Evans. But you love the idea. You love the idea. This time they're going to put him to the outside.
Hodges, a guy just besides the height, strong hands, big wingspan, very smart player. That's why he can move around and play a whole bunch of different receiver positions. Tigers showing some pressure here, and now another flag pre-snap.
They called delay.
Play a game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Evans, for all his talent, not yet a real polished quarterback. Got another year to work on that. That's a mental error.
Yeah, that and the passing game somewhat handcuffed with his growth at this point as a passer, with the reads that he can make down in this area. 95th in the country as far as scoring down in the red zone, scoring touchdowns.
Evans now takes off and runs it. Barrels forward and scores. That's the physical side of Gerard Evans, and the Hokies back within a touchdown.
They go empty, like we said earlier. Either the ball's out fast or the quarterback's going to run the football. And Kendall Joseph looked like had a chance to make a play on him. And Chris, as you said, it gives you a feel of how physical he can be when he lowers his shoulder to run the ball. He does not run the ball like a quarterback.
He's got that helmet off, marching down, a defiant attitude from this confident quarterback. Not much phases him, including falling down by a couple of touchdowns to Clemson, and all of a sudden the Hokies fight back.
Yeah, he got a great block from the left guard, Teller, who's going to come around and pick up the block here. But watch this. One of the top linebackers for Clemson, Kendall Joseph, he just misses him, bounces off of him, in fact. In defense of Joseph, that's a big man that's running at full speed, and he's trying to come up with a tackle in the open field. But the block by Teller on Ben Boulware, you see number 10 right there trying to come in. Boom, block right there. run over top of Joseph and into the end zone.
It's a pretty good tackling defense. Venables pleased with their improvement in that area, but this dude is as tough a quarterback to tackle as there is in the country.
And Justin Fuente said, listen, we got to weather the storm and we've got to be patient. We know how talented this team is. Look at that. Love that leadership from Evans.
Trinity Valley Community College, which won their junior college bowl game today down in Texas. He played for Coach Brad Smiley, arrived at Blacksburg, and he joined a veteran team. Okay, so he's got to immediately blend in, beat out Brendan Motley, who was the starter for almost all of last season. But the talent is obvious. So is the leadership, the toughness.
Yeah, and you linemen feed off of that energy from a quarterback, especially when it runs over top of a middle linebacker to get into the end zone.
Now, folks hoping for some chaos as the CFP selection show approaches tomorrow. It's a 4-hour special to exclusively reveal that bracket. Alabama's been on top, figures to hold that top speed, though, top seed at top speed, and they'll go to Atlanta in the 1 versus 4 game. Wait and see if the Tigers can hold that position, or perhaps flip with Ohio State if they were to win this game tonight.
I think they win tonight, they'll probably go to 2 would be my guess.
4:09 until halftime. Gallman left side. All of a sudden, a different energy, a different confidence level in that Hokie defense.
And that's what happens. We just talked about how important it is to be patient, to believe in yourself. You get down in a big hole. The offense isn't doing much. All of a sudden, the offense gets a good drive. The quarterback Evans is playing with an attitude, some emotion. Definitely has an impact on the defense.
See if Deshaun Watson can coolly restore order. Hokies rush 4. Watson from the pocket escapes and flips it off to Gallman at the last minute. Improvised ball comes out. They ruled it down. Tremaine Edmonds forced it, but the improvisation of Deshaun there.
Well, he kept that alive. I mean, that was a great job by Virginia Tech of finally being able to get to him without blitzing. I mean, that was just their 4. Brought 4 that time, both the defensive ends getting upfield and getting pressure. But as you said, that's where his ability to improvise, create, and just kind of flip the ball there gives him a chance here now on 3rd down.
Just a half yard. Watson keeping all the way. And they move the sticks out to the 37. Inside of 3 minutes, Tigers now just 1 timeout to work with on this possession, trying to rebuild a 2-touchdown lead.
Depending on how tonight goes and their next games, you're going to see number 4 running the ball more and more. You know, you don't want to run him all year. You pick your spots. Well, you get into the ACC championship, potentially a playoff, you got to start running number 4 more.
Watson pressured, throws it far side, almost intercepted. That was Alexander who was covering Williams. Watson went down hard that time.
Yeah, they are taking some chances. This is Bud Foster. Good job of getting after Deshaun Watson. And here's again going after Alexander. How about him with his eyes on the ball? Great technique. Saw the ball coming, and ultimately they were impacted there with the pressure, with the safety. Edmonds getting in affected the accuracy of the throw that time by Deshaun Watson.
Watson flips it off Williams. Tunnel screen, but he is going to be knocked down behind the line. Edmonds again making the play. Terrell Edmonds.
Edmonds are all over the field. Bud Foster, to me, this week gave him, Terrell Edmonds, ultimate compliment. He said, you know, we've had some pretty good defensive backs in Blacksburg over the years. He's the next one. Because of his versatility, he can play corner, he can play nickel, he can play safety. Has such skill set. Last week, one of their corners went down. He stepped in and was able to play corner. So it blitzed him, too, the play before. He can do a lot of different things.
See what option Deshaun looks to exploit here on 3rd and 11. Play clock at 2. Gotta hurry. Just get it off. Pressure comes. Watson hit, lofts it downfield, and Scott broke off the route. And this time there is no pass interference flag. A relief for the Hokies who are going to get the football back. Edmonds, this time Tremaine on the pressure. You're right. There's like, how many brothers are there out there?
Right. They brought the pressure again. Edmonds is here. You see a middle linebacker. Another late blitz that comes from the field. I mean, Bud Foster is rolling the dice and taking chances, and it's working. That time, Tremaine Edmonds almost gets to Deshaun Watson. Watson felt him, and that's why he just threw the ball up in the air to nobody.
There's Bud Foster, who was watching his guys get shredded on their heels the first 3 possessions for the Tigers, but now have settled down and they force another punt. Vinny Mahota, by the way, the defensive end, a little slow to get up, but appears to be okay as he trots off. Amazing how one side of the ball can feed off the other.
Sure.
The offense finally made a push. It was really the fake punt that ignited him. The defense gets going. Now you've got the quarterback bouncing around, as you said, and now we're going to see if Edmonds can cut into the lead. Edmonds has a chance to perhaps tie this game before halftime.
It's shocking, and we said earlier, they get the football back to start the second half.
Teasdale gets it away. Carroll does not call a fair catch and gets hammered. Did they not give him enough room? Martavis Scott, the receiver down there covering.
Well, he hit it as soon as he caught the ball. He didn't give him enough room at all.
He's celebrating like he did something right, but there are a couple flags down there.
How about the catch by Carroll? I mean, as soon as he touches the ball, boom, he's hit.
Pretty brave not to call a fair catch there, but you're right, Scott well within the kick catch interference sphere. Interesting that they have the veteran receiver down there as a gunner on the punt coverage team.
2 fouls on the play, 1 on each team. Holding, offense, number 36. Kick catch interference, number 37 on the kicking team. Correction, the holding was by the receiving team, number 36. Kick catch interference by the kicking team, number 37. Those fouls will offset. We'll replay 4th down.
All right, there's a lot for Jeff Flanagan to sort through, but it'll be another punt. Dr. Pepper tuition giveaway coming up at halftime. $100,000 in tuition money at stake, donated by Dr. Pepper. Minute 24 before halftime. And just a do-over on this punt. C.J. Carroll is about $165, generously listed at 5'8". Pretty fearless back there in that one.
Yeah, well, he is. Come on, he's got great quicks, but as he said, he's undersized, but has a big heart. He wasn't even thinking about calling a fair catch.
You may think about it this time.
I don't think he will. I don't think he's worried about it back there.
Hit me again.
That's how he earns his keep, right? Tough guy.
Yep. Hokies don't come after this punt. They peel back to set up a return. This is a much higher kick, and this time a muff. Carroll falling on it. He did retain possession at the 26, and so it's a minute 16 for Virginia Tech. The Capital One halftime report. Stan, Mark, and Matt coming up. Update you on what's going on in Indy. 28-7 Badgers over the Lions, approaching halftime there.
I think the only drama left for the committee isn't in Indianapolis. I think that's done. Wisconsin wins. They're going to go to the Rose Bowl. They're not in the playoff, in my opinion. I think it's really about Clemson. I think is Clemson going to win this game and secure a spot as an ACC champion and in the playoff? And if anything, it really is left to discuss is Washington as a Pac-12 champion against Michigan. That's, to me, the really only discussion. Really nothing to do at all with what happens in Indianapolis.
We'll follow up more on that, certainly in the second half. Should Husky fans feel 100% secure, or will they be sweating tonight? Evans trying to direct traffic as the play clock winds down. Into the slot, and it's dropped. Phillips has been busy. They've been trying to nickel and dime in there. He's normally sure-handed.
Again, they're going to keep things fairly simple. I think you can look at Cam Phillips and say, why didn't you come up with that? But at the same time, Gerard Evans, I think, would love to be able to make it a little bit easier for him on such a simple throw. Justin Fuente here with a minute 12.
Rodgers in heavy traffic. There's been really no running game to speak of for the Hokies tonight.
I think their first play, they're thinking about being aggressive. Now Dabo Swinney comes in to call that timeout. I think the first play, you're trying to be aggressive, thinking about, hey, how can we get points on the board? And then after the incompletion, the clock stops, and now all of a sudden your philosophy changes. Now you're thinking about, hey, why don't we run the football, force Clemson to use that last timeout, and now maybe probably run the ball again here on third down. So you lose that aggressive mindset.
We're seeing the DNA of this Virginia Tech program, and you look at this field. I mean, talent, a big edge for Clemson, but it's a Hokie team that has always been tough, fought from behind. I know Notre Dame's having a down year, but I thought in awful weather in South Bend, this team a couple of games ago, they're down 17-0 quickly, 24-7. They're down 10 in the fourth quarter. Find a way to come back and kick a game-winning field goal. They just will not quit. And remember, last year's ACC championship game, 19-point Clemson lead against Carolina, and it got very interesting down to the final onside kick, so you never know.
Yeah, you absolutely never know. And this game had that feeling early like, hey, Clemson's going to take care of business. They're going to continue with some momentum that they've been able to create since the Pitt game. But you got to give Virginia Tech all the credit in the world, because they kind of hung in there, battled back, caught a few breaks, and now here they are, one possession game with a minute to go, and they get the ball to start the second half.
Clemson doesn't have a timeout, so let's see what the Hokies brain trust decides to do on this 3rd and 10. An incompletion would stop the clock and give time to Clemson, and that's what they're thinking. They'll just run Rogers, who doesn't make the first down, but now the clock will run.
So I was saying, I think on the first play, you try to say, hey, why don't we try to get into field goal range? Incompletion, mindset changes, run the ball second down, force them to use that last timeout, run the ball again on third down, and now you're going to just be able to work the clock down.
Puente appearing to be ready to call a timeout as the play clock winds down, and they'll punt it away, and Clemson doesn't figure to get too adventurous, and the Hokies will get the ball to begin the second half. Another crack at trying to level this game that, as you said, looked to be out of control for them very early.
Yeah, it really did. I mean, not to mention how Clemson has looked since that loss. I mean, they were on a mission here early.
It was a flipped pass, a fake punt by Mitchell Ludwig that gained 20 yards when the Hokies were generating nothing on offense, that sparked a drive that eventually got him in the end zone for the first time.
And then that big pass play to Isaiah Ford, where they got behind, he was able to get behind coverage for a 53-yard gain. That eventually led to their next touchdown to get them at 21-14. And at the same time, they've done a pretty good job of bottling up Deshaun Watson. And the adjustment I've seen from Bud Foster has been, we've got to do a better job of pressuring and bringing people. And they've just outnumbered the offensive line in pass protection, and really done a nice job at getting after Watson and affecting his rhythm and timing.
Watson 14 of 19 with 2 touchdown passes to Leggett. They've contained Wayne Gallman as a runner, Kirk. He's run it 10 times for only 32 yards, as you see the PlayStation playoff rankings here. Ohio State, of course, resting up, get ready for New Year's Eve. No reason for them to worry at all in your mind.
No.
And Ludwig boots it to Scott and makes a fair catch with 6 seconds to play before halftime.
I think the reason you say that, because I think, again, there's a lot of confusion out there. They're not playing in a Big Ten championship game, so how could they be a lock? If you talk to the folks in the know about that, not making it to a conference championship game, while that's not encouraged, it doesn't put you where you're on the outside looking in. If you don't make your own conference championship game, how can you make the playoff? That's not a criteria. You don't have to make your conference championship to make the playoff. They were number 2 before they beat number 3 Michigan. They beat number 3. They become that much more of a solid number 2 after the win over Michigan.
And if Clemson can protect this lead and win this ACC championship, you would not bet against an Ohio State Clemson semifinal.
And I think Clemson would probably flip to 2 and Ohio State would go to 3.
But the Hokies still very much in this ball game after a slow start. 21-14 Tigers at the break here in Orlando. Dr. Pepper spotlight coming up after this kickoff from Hugel. 2 very different quarters for the Clemson offense. Tech, as you mentioned, a tough-minded team. Not the most talented. They've got good players, but they've got heart. They've got a lot of self-belief. battle back time and again this season. Here's the Dr. Pepper spotlight.
This was early in the game where they were trying to feel out Deshaun Watson, bringing 3, dropping 8, easy for them to be able to have time to throw. But the adjustment from Bud Foster was crank it up. Bring 1 more than they can handle. They brought 7, only had 6 to block. Deshaun Watson just throws the ball down the field, just throws it away. Again, bringing both the linebackers there to try to get pressure. They affect his timing and rhythm, throws the ball away. That's what we saw in the latter part of the first half. And we'll have to see when he gets back out there, the adjustments that Jeff Scott and Tony Elliott and Dabo Swinney and that staff make to try to slow down some of the heat.
Dual threat quarterback has not been able to make an impact at all running. Evans now will be swarmed and dropped. Sacked by big Dexter Lawrence. Coverage sack.
Well, this is the sign of an inexperienced quarterback in the pocket. Watch his head when he feels pressure. Watch his head go down. He is sensing and feeling, instead of an ability to find that second or third option, his eyes go down because he wants to take off and trust his legs. It's not there. Instantly he pulls down. If you can take away his primary, he's got a real problem.
Now he underthrows the screen for Hodges, Kirk, who still doesn't have a catch. That's only the second time he's been targeted tonight. That's trouble. They got to get him involved.
You know, the fact that the second play of the second half, they go to him, tells you that the coaches said the same thing. They looked around and said, guys, we've got to be able to find that matchup with Hodges at 6'7" and be able to make plays in one-on-one matchups. That's really not his game, though. Underneath, catching the ball and making yards after the catch. He's more of a downfield threat with that length.
Got to get the ball downfield here. They need 16 to keep the drive going. Tigers give him time. Lost the ball for Isaiah Ford on the edge. Jump ball broken up. One of those 50-50 plays, and Tankersley won that battle.
They're very limited on what they can do on third down. You know it's either going to be a quick game or it's downfield. Tankersley watching and waiting the whole time. Times it up perfectly. Goes up with the left hand. An easy play for a very talented and athletic corner to be able to knock that ball away.
I guess it's easy when you're that good. Can't play it better. Ludwig with the punt. And Scott makes the fair catch at the 33. So Clemson's defense, a strong start to this second half, and see if Deshaun Watson, Kirk, can get the rhythm back. He was 14 of 19 in the first half.
Yeah, 14 of 19, and most of those incompletions coming in that second quarter. But remember, he started 10 for 10.
Yep.
What happened was they got away from being able to run the football and affect the defense with their eyes. And when you can't run the ball and you put Deshaun Watson or any quarterback into those obvious passing situations, I don't think they're good enough up front on the offensive line to be able to hold off that pressure, especially when they're blitzing.
Gallman takes the pitch with that 10 for 10 start here, by the way. Watson had 18 consecutive completions over 2 games. He finished his farewell game in Death Valley against the Gamecocks with 8. And you see the 2 punts to end that half.
The biggest difference there in those last 2 drives was they weren't able to run the ball and throw the football on their terms. They put Deshaun Watson in a little bit more obvious passing situations, made it easier for Tech to play defense.
Gallman is split out far right, ball batted in the air, and Motua Pawaka, the linebacker, comes down with the pick. Vinny Mahota is down. He may have been the guy that deflected it.
He did.
And Motua Pawaka, Kirk, who does everything for this defense, makes a huge play.
Great awareness from the middle linebacker, but it started with Mahota on the edge here. Watch him on the outside. See it a lot in college football with a quick passing game. Right away, he reacted and went down with his hand. Watch how quickly, either finger or the hand, right away he felt that pain. But how about the awareness to come up with that interception?
And Motua Pawaka sets up the Hokies, threatening to tie this game.
Yeah, again, we see this a lot. The quick game in college football, defensive lineman goes up, but I've never seen that. I've never seen a guy go down and go in to get more than likely an X-ray for knocking a pass down.
Motua Pawaka picked it off, and now Evans goes to work and tries to get it to Rodgers in heavy traffic. Well defended. First turnover of the game, 15th interception thrown by Deshaun this year. In fact, Kirk, you go back to the beginning of last year, second most interceptions in the FBS for any quarterback. The big plays that he's made.
Yeah. But I think if you go back and really study the film, there are a lot of what we just saw. You know, it's a lot of a tip ball here, a receiver running a wrong route. I don't think all of those are on him.
No.
You know, obviously.
And like I said, that's offset by a lot of monster plays and a lot of winning plays. 2nd and 10, empty backfield. Tigers rush only 3, and that's another low throw. And it's ruled a catch by Hodges, his first of the night. Big fella went down. Tigers not so sure about it. Dabo actively lobbying for an incomplete call. Let's check it out.
See this effort here. Both nose of the ball down makes it always tough on a wide receiver.
No, that's not a catch.
Nah, that ball hit the surface. Definitely will take a peek at that. Dabo is fired up on the sideline. You know,
rolling on the field.
It was right in front of him.
Yeah.
That play is under review.
As we saw last week with Coach Harbaugh, when things happen right in front of you, the coach tends to get a little more actively involved in his complaining, but legit complaint there.
Yeah.
Hit the hand first, but then definitely hit the rug.
The difference between a 3rd and 4 and a 3rd and 10 after an interception, there's reason, especially the balls right now placed at your about the 33, 32, 33 yard line.
Yeah, this would move it back, Kirk. We expect it'll be spotted back at the 38, so not really in field goal range. Do they have a couple of plays to try to get the 10 yards? Do they go for it in 4th
well,
down?
based on what we've seen from Justin Fuente tonight, willing to take chances, you could make a case that, you know, they don't have the field goal to make a field goal kicker to make a kick from this distance. Why not use 2 plays here to try to come up with a 1st down?
There's an anxiety in this building that's palpable, that you can feel from the Clemson side. Samantha reporting that it's probably about 75% Clemson fans in orange here, and they felt like, hey, we're going to have a party tonight in Orlando. We're rolling to the playoff early. Right. Doesn't feel like that now after the interception. It got very quiet.
Uneasy.
The selection show, of course, is the backdrop for all of this. Clemson figures to be the only question mark at this point among the top 4.
Ground, incomplete pass. It'll be 3rd and 10 from the 38-yard line. Please reset the clock. 13 minutes and 33 seconds, please.
So Hodges, Kirk, still doesn't have a catch. And now Evans has missed on his last 6 passes facing a 3rd and 10 here.
Yeah, and not able to run the ball either. So you go back to how you approach this at 3rd and 10 at the 38-yard line after an interception. I think you're aggressive. I think you look at this as you have 2 plays here to come up with a 1st down.
Watson wondering if his defense can make a stand here, not let the Hokies cash in that pick. Clemson rushes 4. Evans again takes 1 look downfield and then is dropped by Carlos Watkins, and that sack is huge. It may really impact what they're doing.
Now you forget about those 2 plays to get a 1st down. Boy, they have so many different bodies who can get in there and give you pressure. They rush with 4, actually a twist there. Moved Dexter Lawrence from the left over to the right, actually brought Carlos Watkins around. So without blitzing, they're still able to get home just with a simple twist up front.
4th sack of the night, so Ludwig drops the point and kicks a backspin, caught by Scott at the 10.
What a job by Brent Venables and that defense after that interception.
2 great stands by that defense here in the 3rd quarter. Tigers with the football, up by 7. And Watson running all the way and gallops for about a dozen yards.
See, that's what Clemson needs to be able to do. Great block by the big tight end, Jordan Leggett. Gallman also picked up a great block. Get the quarterback run game going. It seems to open other aspects of the offense, the quick throws to the outside, the tempo. Up until that play, their last 13 plays had netted a total of 12 yards.
Watson again. That time escapes. Another stiff arm. He's got those long arms. He's got deceptive strength, and he got away from Edmonds again that time.
We talked about when they start this 2nd half, we thought we'd see them run the ball more. There's that long stiff arm you're talking about against one of the better players, Terrell Edmonds, and then the speed on the back end of that stiff arm. Now they go empty, and again, a lot of times you see quarterback draw here. Look at the middle of that defense.
Watson pressured, hit, gets it away. Catch made. Climbing the ladder is big Mike Williams, who finally gets involved here. Matua Puaka hit the quarterback, but nice pitch and catch.
And Matua Puaka Lined up to the outside. See him right there. Deshaun Watson waited to the very last second and puts the ball up where Mike Williams can make a play on the ball. Great focus downfield on the read by Watson.
Tigers in Tech territory. 4th catch of the night for Williams as Gallman spins inside the 45.
Everybody put a kind of an asterisk next to this drive because this is what they've gotten away from. The rhythm is impacted in this offense by Wayne Gallman and Deshaun Watson running the football. And if Gallman can't get his yards because you're losing up front the line of scrimmage, force him to bring an extra hat down by running Deshaun Watson.
And then Watson running again all the way. Gallman is an excellent lead blocker when the quarterback runs it. He takes great pride in that. 3rd and 2 now.
And I think Deshaun Watson does a really good job on those stretch plays where he just eventually he patiently waits for the lineman to come around and waits to find, almost like a tailback would, that crease. Time lowered his, he's not afraid to lower that shoulder, and he does. Picks up some tough yards to give him a much more manageable 3rd down here.
Maverick Morris in replacing Tyrone Crowder, the starting right guard, who's out for this play. Leggett goes in motion. Watson looks that direction, fires, caught. Off and running is Williams, barreling down inside the red zone. Tigers threatening again.
And that's a tough matchup for Virginia Tech. 3rd down and short. You walk Alexander up tight. He tries to use his hands, but Mike Williams gets separation. And on 3rd down, boy, it's such rhythm there and confidence with Watson throwing the ball to Mike Williams.
Strength, speed, he'll run high 4.4s or a 4.5 perhaps. Strong hands. Mike Williams, top-rated receiver by Todd McShay in his draft board. Watson, another 1st down gain that puts the Hokies defense on its heels now.
And what happens, not only on their heels, what it does is it impacts the defense's eyes. Now you're going to see these safeties. Now they're worried about Deshaun Watson running. Now you start coming downhill. That's when you go play action and you hit the tight end or the receiver behind it with the safeties out of position.
Scott, pop pass. Stutter steps, patiently picks his way for a 1st and goal. Tough to stop that play.
Sure is. Especially when they're running the quarterback so much.
See the jet sweep, Kirk. Now they've replaced it with that because it's a very low-risk play. If he can't handle it, just an incomplete pass.
Absolutely.
1st and goal. It's Leggett motioning in. 2 backs in the backfield. And Watson hands it up to Gallman. Gallman scores. And the Tigers back to their crisp ways. They began the game 89-yard touchdown drive.
See Leggett pulling around there, does a nice job. Right guard comes around. They're rotating different people in there. That time looked like it was Maverick Morris, who's been in there some for Tyrone Crowder. That's a heck of a drive and a great answer there by Clemson. Get their offense's confidence back.
15th rushing touchdown for Gallman. It's been a quiet night for him. Could be a steady diet of him now.
And going back to the beginning of that drive, Chris, it was the running of Deshaun Watson that got the offense back into that rhythm and eventually mixed in a few passes, and eventually it's the touchdown run by Wayne Gallman.
Murphy will bring it out. Henry Murphy knocked down at the 20. So Justin Fuente, the 40-year-old first-year head coach of Virginia Tech, has a background working with quarterbacks. He was the offensive coordinator when TCU won the Rose Bowl. Andy Dalton sings his praises. Paxton Lynch at Memphis, which was the stop right before Blacksburg, of course, with the Broncos now. Kirk, what does he have to do to get Gerard Evans more comfortable? What can he call to get this quarterback on track? It seems kind of uneasy tonight.
Those are 2 quarterbacks that are tough to compare him to at this point, just because he's still developing as a passer. And he feels hurried. I think he realizes that Clemson's doing a good job of pressuring him, and I think it's affecting his accuracy because his feet.
There's a long throw way over the head of Ford.
And anytime as a quarterback, I think a lot of times we get caught up in his arm and his accuracy. But when a quarterback's missing, it has more to do with it feeling hurried And when you feel hurried, there's a tendency to affect your feet. And when your feet are impacted, that's really where you see the accuracy. The ball going to the ground, the ball sailed the way it did on that last one.
He flips it to Phillips. Heavy traffic there all over the slot receiver. Middle backer Kendall Joseph got there first.
The other thing that Clemson has an ability to do is just dial in on just a handful of routes. You're seeing a lot of bubble screens and a lot of vertical shots downfield. There's not a ton of variety, so it makes it a little bit easier for them to defend what they're seeing.
3rd and 12. Tigers showing heavy pressure. That's Bulware jumping out. Evans will take a look at the sideline. The coaches will give him instructions based on what the Tigers are showing. And now they back out. Only rush 4. Escapes, but not for long. Dropped behind the line again by big Carlos Watkins. A 5th sack for this Tigers defense.
And again, they did this earlier. They had a stunt where you see moving here and moving here. And again, it's Carlos Watkins who gets overlooked at times because there's so much talk about some of the other defensive linemen up front. But he might be as dangerous as any of them.
How about the way this Tigers defense has played after halftime? Lugman gets it up into the jet stream. Scott banged down instantly. So a long punt and excellent coverage by Mook Reynolds. All right, time for our street cred of the season. Is this the regular season street cred?
Yeah, I think it's a year-end kind of celebration. We've been doing this all year with All-State. Street cred on Twitter, the hashtag, where fans give me an idea of who they think is the most deserving team. And Temple was out there, but you got to look at Alabama and what they did in the SEC championship game. What Nick Saban, another SEC title, his 5th at Alabama. And they continue to build momentum towards their inevitable playoff spot at that #1 seed. You would think playing in Atlanta, close to home.
Well, right back where they were today when they thumped the Gators. Watson takes off again, beginning this drive with the run. If you're not familiar with the rules, as the top seed in the playoff committee, that you're placed in the semifinal location. It makes more sense geographically. That's why Alabama would be in Atlanta.
And makes it a lot easier for their fan base to be able to drive right up the road and be able to attend the game.
I don't think Washington fans would mind, but it would be a long schlep from Seattle to Atlanta. And they'd be outnumbered if that's the matchup on New Year's Eve. Deshaun looking for guidance as the play clock winds down inside of 5. Now they'll have to spend a timeout here. Wasn't clarity between sideline and quarterback. Timeout well spent. Hokies defense trying to get the football back now. Clemson back to work. 2nd and 5 after the timeout. Watson deflected again. That's Mahota. He's grabbing his hand again.
Oh, man. Already had to go into the locker room after deflecting a ball to start the 2nd half. And he's going up. He did go up with the right. He didn't go up with the right hand this time. He went up with the left hand. But again,
he's hurt both now.
No, he stretched that one out too. Got a brace down that right arm.
3rd and 5. Hokies bring some heat. They pick it up. Incomplete. That was a high throw. Deflected off the hands of Williams, and Stroman defended. Sam, what do you have?
Yeah, you guys are talking about Vinny Mahota. I know it looks like he keeps hurting his hand. It's actually a right shoulder injury, I'm told, that they took him in the locker room to work on. He hurt his left shoulder in the first half, then his right shoulder in the second. So you can see why when he lifts his arm up like that to try and reach for the ball, it becomes problematic.
Wow.
Good stuff, but you grit your teeth and keep doing it because it's working. It's effective.
Exactly. Twice in his 2nd half alone.
Teasdall. Not a great kick. Fair catch at the last minute, grudgingly made by C.J. Carroll. Take a look at the college football playoff rankings brought to you by PlayStation. This week's pretty clear, Kirk. I mean, Alabama took care of business. We talked about that. Whether or not Ohio State, Clemson are 2-3 in some order. If Clemson holds on, they would seem destined to collide in Glendale, Arizona on New Year's Eve. And Unless somebody at the committee has a different idea, Washington up a 31-point victory last night to win the Pac-12 seems a pretty logical. If they thought there were 4 going in, don't see how you could change it. Now they're trying to get a running game going, but it has not been there all night against that tough Tigers front.
That is so impressive. It's great to see Austin Bryant back in the lineup. Missed the first 6